Okay.
Recording is on.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the program. My name is Kola Abdul, and I am your host on Stories That Build. This platform is for real conversation with real people about real journey. We have conversation with people that are living very meaningful life, with winners, but we don't want to see just the wins. We want to see what happens behind the scene. So we want to see the beginning, the difficult decision, the moment that changed everything. And it is to leave our viewers inspired and to give them practical lessons and to let them know that they are not alone on their journey. So today, my guest is very special guest. You know, I bring special people for you every time. So this is Dr. Nasir Afanla. He's the best graduating student in the Department of Physiotherapy, University of Ilorin. So, Dr. Nasir, kindly introduce yourself to our viewers.
Yeah, thank you so much for the honor and thank you for hosting me. My name is Muhammad Nasir Alfanla and I am a physiotherapist, 2 years post graduation, and I also founded and lead the Nigerian Public Health Network. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that brief introduction. So, Dr. Nasir, please, the first question I would like to ask is what kind of student were you before the university? Please, can you hear me, sir?
I think I mistakenly exited the call. Or
Oh,
am I mistaken?
okay, it's fine. You're
Can you
on.
see me and hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I can see
Okay,
you
thank
now.
you so much. Yeah.
In fact, it's
Please go ahead.
so now, please, I would like to ask what type of student were you before the university?
Well, I would not say that I was new to excellence, very sincere. In my secondary school, I was fortunate to, be a class topper throughout my senior secondary school, but I wasn't really the studious type of student. I do not really, I was raised in a home where excellence was really valued, but it was not really demanded. My parents loved when you came home with prizes, you come home with accolades and the like of that, but it wasn't really demanded. I was not asked to, wake up during the night to read or do this and that. But they probably just believed that one way or the other, I would find a way to always, get to the top of my class. So I wasn't really a studious student when I was in my secondary school. I was just really working on vibe, if I can say that, and it worked for me. But definitely, when I, had to resume, I knew that that had to change, and I really, 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 had to pivot myself from being the student that goes with the flow and actually sit down to read. I trained myself on how to read and actually understand when I resumed university, because I sincerely did not. I did not know that when I was in secondary school. It was just all vibe throughout. Yeah,
So it was you were just moving with the flow when you were in secondary school, but when you
yeah,
came to university,
yeah. More or less.
the system needs to change a little bit. So you said you trained yourself
Definitely.
to read. Please, what do you mean?
Yeah. Okay, so as I mentioned, when I was in, I think the only memory I have of actually reading in secondary school was just once. To be very sincere with you,
Wow.
every other thing, what we were told in class, and just few 1 or 2 hours reading before the exam, and that is going to. So when I resumed university, I knew that I had to change. It was actually the advice from a senior colleague who was already in the College of Health Sciences that told me that whatever you do, try to read every day. So when I resumed University of Illinois, I knew that I had to read. But from someone that probably just works on Vibe and the like of that, how do I do that? When do I start? How do I read and when do I actually read? I had to, figure out every single thing. I started by reading after every lecture. When I get home, I would try and read 1 hour. You know, I would try to actually my reading pattern is majorly memorization. To be very sincere,
Mm,
because if you are in college and you cannot memorize, it's probably be in a lot of jeopardy. So
wow.
I started learning how to actually read, but in the whole process of actually reading, memorizing alone, if you are not really focusing on actually still trying to get concept, understand what you are reading, that might be difficult. So I met a friend that actually trained me to read and understand.
Hmm.
So that was the most pivotal moment when it comes to my academic journey, because the moment I was able to read and understand, I was able to actually move beyond just cramming what I was reading, so actually making sense of it. I still do much of cramming, but it was easier to cram, it was easier to retain information because it's less abstract and more contextual. So I mean, the process was not, it wasn't I started doing this and that. It was just, I mean, I had to move from one point of being someone that moves with vibe to actually, investing and putting in the effort. I was quite very intentional about it. And with the help of Allah, everything became much more easier.
Ah, we thank God for that. So now,
Mm.
when you entered the university, did you ever imagine you're going to be the best graduating student in your class?
No, nah, I wasn't. I did not. Okay, again, I did not envision that I would be the best student in my class. To be very sincere, I never ever expected that
Wow.
until the end of my first year. Until the end of my first year, I resumed university. I mean, I was part of the pioneer graduating student of the Department of Physiotherapy, University of Ilorin. We were the first set, so there were a lot of expectation. I mean, I probably do not even know what exactly physiotherapy was when I actually reached University of Ilorin, but I was just about excellence. I wanted to graduate with
Mm,
a good grade in my first year. I mean, I want to excel. I met friends who actually were very studious and they really, really helped me because before I met them, I was doing my own, when you have not really tested your level, against another person's level, you probably don't know how much you are lacking, how much good you
mm.
have. So when I met these guys, in the middle of the first semester, they already done with the semester curriculum. I
Wow.
mean, I was so definitely flabbergasted, right? So I had to really match up to them. So they really pushed me so much. And I think that it was meeting them that actually really, really brought out the best out of me, to be very sincere with you. I used to tell them till now, they were so Abdul Majid and Abdul Wahab. I met them and it was meeting them that really, really pushed me to really, really go to the length of it. I was not competing to top my class. I was actually competing to be at their level. I was
Wow.
hoping to actually be at their level. And at the end of the day, in the first semester, I had 4.5. In my second semester, I only spent 1 week of holiday at home. I resumed immediately after the first week of holiday back to university. I started reading. This time around, I was going to, go after first class 5.0, but alhamdulillah, I only fell short of it by just 1B in my second semester. So when I saw my second semester result, I started thinking of probably having the feeling that I might actually top my class. And
Wow.
from then on, after I knew that I actually top my class, it was needed. I mean, when you get to a level, and success is addictive. So when you get to a level, as far as success is concerned, you don't want to come, below that. So it's
Mm.
just, I mean, it became necessary. It became a necessary burden to actually just keep up the level and hope to remain and become more better. So that was what it is.
So when you entered university, all you wanted to strive
Yeah,
for was excellence, and you met a lot of
yeah.
friends that that
Yeah,
were catalysts to that particular
yes,
thing.
definitely,
Mashallah, that's very
definitely.
very nice. So now I am going
Yeah.
to ask my next question. Um, what was a normal day? What was a normal day in your life? What does a normal day in your life look like when you were in school?
Oh, okay, because I mean, context has to be there.
Yeah,
Because normal day now is quite very much different
of
from
course.
normal day as a student, right? So yeah, as a student, before I became the scholar of my class and after I became the scholar of my class, they were almost the same thing. In my first, second, third year, I was just doing two things in the university. I was reading my books, academics, and I was memorizing my Quran.
Mm,
I was fortunate to actually memorize my hifz as a student in the college. I memorized 500 pages in a year and 4 months as a college student. So my day was basically wake up, go to class, come back after Asri, memorize between after Asri till after Isha, read from 9 till 12, sometimes from 2 till 4, from 1 till 4. I read mostly during the night, and that was it. Like it was a routine. I made sure, because one thing that I always emphasize and tell my mentees is the fact that when you want to make something an habit, when you want to make your days productive, make it very predictable. So I mean, I really stuck with a routine. I knew when I had to stand up to read, when I had to stop reading, when I had to actually, get up to go to lectures, when I returned from lectures, what I had to do. It was quite very practical. So it was after I got to my final level, after I completed my memorization of the Quran, that started taking up some extracurriculars, leading my health team, the quiz club, getting into the Muslim Student Society and taking up few responsibilities before I graduated. But basically, it was just a routine. It was always a routine.
So, how did you balance studying with your personal life?
Well, my personal life was one thing that I really thank Allah for making me understand is the fact that I cannot do everything at once.
Hmm.
So I really, really recognize that, and I understood that, and I actually put that into practice. When I just mentioned when I was memorizing my Quran, I was not doing any other thing. I mean any other thing extracurriculars. I was not doing it. So the moment you are not really, overburdening yourself with a lot of things, I don't think management should be very difficult because, to be very sincere, priorities matters the most. You cannot, manage your time. You can only manage your priorities. So you look at what are the things I actually want to prioritize, you know, for this aspect of for this phase of my life. I knew that okay, I only had to read, I only had to do my memorization, do my revisions, both book and the Quran, and it was very, again, making it a routine, making it very monotonous as the case might be, made it very easy to actually manage my time because there is a saying that predictability is equals productivity. If your tasks are predictable, your days are going to be productive. That's just the way it is.
Thank you for that. Thank you very, very much for that. So, now my next question goes: what part of your journey did no one see?
I think it is, to be very sincere, it is actually the strivings. It
Hmm.
is the it is the experience that actually built me than the striving itself, because I unfortunately had a this is going to be the first time I'm publicly saying this, but I suffered from a phobia in 2018 till like my third, fourth year. Thanatophobia, the phobia of dying and death. And
Wow.
really, that phobia actually really, really made a human out of me, to be very sincere, because I knew what I had to lose. When you face a situation that probably threatens to, when you know that life is almost ending, you really get to be very serious with life. So that was what made the human out of me. I became very much more interested in actually living to the fullest and actually going all the way. That is an aspect people really do not see. When I was reading in my 100 level, I was going through this. In my 200 level, retaining my scholarship, I was going through this. In my 300 level, I was going through this. So like
Wow.
I was really, really trying to, I mean, when I go out, when people see me, when I laugh and the likes of that, no one knows that I have panic attacks that I go through. No one knows that I actually have this depressed for no reason and the likes of that. So these are aspects that people really do not see. But the whole aspect of, and people do not actually, know the extent of the effort that you actually put into doing these things. I read every day.
Wow.
I read at least 4 hours every single day, except few days. And people probably just assume that the reason why you are topping the class is because you're exceptionally brilliant. To be very sincere with you, I don't count myself as an exceptionally brilliant individual. I do not at all. I just think that I have been able to, by the grace of Allah, master some routines and they are working for me. So the effort that goes into that, memorizing the Quran, I memorize my Quran every single day for a year and 4 months. Every single day for a year and 4 months. I memorized, I was reading alongside it. And these things are not easy. It's probably saying them now that probably makes them feel quite very easy and they like that. So the experience that built me, that made the human out of me and actually made me appreciate life more better, was the phobia that I went through. And the one that actually made the most significant change are actually the efforts. They are not behind the scene because I actually try to make my effort as obvious as possible. I don't mind inviting any of my friends, any of my mates to see me read, and the way I do it. I memorize my Quran in the masjid every single day. So I made my effort as obvious as possible, because making your effort obvious also, helps you stay accountable to yourself, because
Hmm.
people probably have expectation of you. We do not see you to come at the masjid today. We do not see you where you used to read today, likes of that. So it's not as if, but people might see you doing something but do not really have a very much understanding, or probably a grip on how much effort actually goes into it. The days that I read and do not even have any understanding of what I read are there. The days that I would memorize something repeatedly over time and still forget it are there. The
Wow.
number of times that when I was a student throughout my studentship, there's no course that I actually read and prepare for an example unless I've probably revised it at least 10 times before the exam. At least
Wow.
every single topic in that course. But people do not see that. A lot of people want to read once and it just takes on the like of that. So when I teach my juniors, I was doing tutorials from my 100 to 500 level. I teach
Wow.
my juniors. When I was in 500 level, I was teaching 200 level students what I learned in 100 level. But what people do not see, people will probably see the senior or probably the student that remembers what he has been taught for a long time, but they will not see the student that actually revised and revised and revised and revised and not get tired of revision. So, I mean, the things are there, the sacrifices are there, but I mean, we thank God, we thank Allah for His mercies. I mean, everything is now a memory, a good one, and we are really grateful that Allah really
Gosh.
gave us the leverage and gave us the opportunity.
So please, I would like to ask, you talked about the phobia. Have you ever thought about what brought about the phobia? And how did the
Now,
phobia usually operate?
the phobia. I mean, growing up, I ordinarily had a fear of darkness. I mean, I was really
Mm,
scared of darkness. And so, subhanAllah, I only started, wallahi, wallah. I had no recollection of what actually happened that made it start, but it was very bad. I mean, it was everything that you could imagine bad. It was that bad. It was so bad that I wanted to defer my admission in 200 level because of it. Even after learning that I was the scholar of my class, I actually wanted to defer my admission. It was so bad that, I mean, tried, say it, alternative medicines, Islamic medicines, prophetic medicines, the orthodox medicine. He tried every single thing. It was so bad that I wake up and sleep every day in fear. I mean, panic attack. I don't know whether you probably know how panic attack operates, but I mean, it's so crazy. Depression, despair, say it, like every single thing that you can think of. It was so bad. It was so bad. Really, it was so bad. And I don't know, the episodes are not always continuous, but during my first year holiday after my 100 level, I suffered the longest episode. For almost the entire 3 months of break, I was having constant panic attack, depression, like unending depression and despair. It was so very bad. I actually did not think that I would probably survive, to be very
wow.
sincere with you, but Alhamdulillah, Allah has been merciful.
So what kept you going? How did you pull through?
Just the tiniest bit of hope that something might actually work. I prayed. To be very sincere, when I say that experience made the human out of me, I would not probably want to go through it again. But Allahi, it was the experience that made me a human. To be very sincere, it was the experience that brought me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that taught me how to pray, that made me build a very strong relation with my Quran. It was the experience that made me understand that alone. But during the experience itself, it's almost impossible to really put into context or statement right now. But it was just the tiniest bit of hope that perhaps something might, even at the height of it, just perhaps that something might actually, I mean, something might actually happen, and I mean, I would probably survive it. It was just the tiniest bit of hope. It was not a lot of hope, just a little bit. I mean, I was just living. I was bland. I was not thinking about anything. Just waking up and sleeping every day and hoping that I wake up the next day. Sleeping is the most important of it because I mean, I'm awake. I'm scared that I'm going to die. So think of sleeping. You know how scared I'm going to be that I might not wake up. So I mean, I mean, just sleep, and every day when you wake up, I think over time I started to, because the breakthrough happened when Allah actually made it easy for me to realize and this is never going to be, it's never going to be a case of waking up one day and the fear disappearing.
Mm,
That was it. Like that was the breakthrough. I realized that okay, it's not going to, it did not start suddenly. It started suddenly, but it's never going to go suddenly. So, and I had to really face my fear and live my life. The first thing I did was abandon every solution that I was going after. Clinic, prophetic medicine, those were not helping at all,
wow.
because I mean, fear is something that you have to actually face head on. You have to like
Mm,
combat. You have to really go. I did not get there once. It was a series of realization before I actually got there. Wallahi, the moment I actually understood that, it was quite very easy to really overcome it. I started attending funerals. I was speaking about death, dying, you feel comfortable with it, and that was it. That made that, like that actually gave the breakthrough. Alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah. You know, seeing Dr. Nasir moving around, one very cute doctor like that, who would have thought of you going through these things? It's very interesting.
Well,
Very interesting. Alhamdulillah.
Allah has
Rabbi.
been merciful.
Alhamdulillah. So now, Dr. Nasir, moving to my next question. What habits do you think matters more than intelligence?
That's consistency, really. No one gets anywhere because you're intelligent or because you're exceptionally talented. You have to show up consistently. Even if you're a brilliant student, if you don't know how to read, you're never going to make anything good academically. But in life, generally, you have to be consistent. Anything that you choose to do, show up consistently. Because and consistency is, it's a lot of things. I used to explain consistency to my students and my mentees in this context. I'll tell you that, imagine, I used to give, if you're a Muslim, I would tell you that, look at Salat, for example.
Mm,
If Allah had designed
Please, can you
training
use
such
another
that
analogy aside from solar, just for the benefit of people
okay.
that are not Muslims?
I think I would do that. You know, mm, I think I might not be able to do so well. Let me give a better contextual explanation to it.
Okay,
Consistency is, it has three ingredients
okay.
when it comes to staying consistent. The first one is conveniency, the second one is constancy, and the third one is diligence.
Hmm,
If any of these are missing, it probably will be difficult to stay consistent with anything. If you are going to be consistent with a task,
yeah.
you have to make it convenient, to be very sincere. Conveniency is relative. Someone could read 70 slides per day, another person could read just 25. But for the person that reads 70 slides per day, that is what is convenient for them. If they decide to read more than that, it becomes, inconvenience.
Okay.
For someone that reads 25, that is what is convenience for them. So when you start, when you are trying to form a new habit, when you are trying to get consistent with the task, start by making it convenient for you.
Hmm,
And when I say conveniently, the way you know that a task is convenience for you is, I used to say, if you have to overcome the mental fatigue of doing something today to do it tomorrow, you are never going to be able to stay consistent with it. If you have to, I want to go and read this thing again, or I have to go shaking in learning. If you have to like actually overcome the mental fatigue of doing something that you did yesterday to do it the second day, the following day, that task is not convenient for you. That's the first thing. The second thing is I try to make it constant. Constancy, what constancy is going to do, what constancy is going to do is that it's going to, ease you of decision fatigue.
hmm,
You would not always have to think about the why, the how, the when, the where every single day. It goes like in a cycle. You've already decided that, okay, I'm going to be doing this thing by this time at this place in this method. So you must make it constant. Every single decision making process that would result in the reproduction of that task, make it constant. Then the last thing is diligence, because they used to say that motivation is what ignites the fire, but purpose is what keeps it burning through the night. You're
hmm,
not going to always do something because you're motivated to do it.
yes.
Forget about it. 95% of days you are not motivated, but you have to show up. You have to remain diligent, and diligence is what keeps you from getting complacent. And there is something like that is very important when it comes to staying diligent in doing anything. When you have a routine, when you miss that routine for something that is very tangible, don't give it up.
Hmm,
Don't give it up. I mean, let's say that I have to read today, but I
hmm,
could not read because something happened.
yeah.
I'm not going to give up that portion that I've already scheduled to read that day,
Hmm,
and just say that, okay, I'm just going to carry it over to the other day, and make it affect. I would find a way to actually repay that missed task.
wow.
That's the most practical way of being diligent. When you miss
Hmm,
any task that you already made a routine, repay it. Don't let it go. Don't just pass it up. Try to repay it, and that's the most important thing that makes you and helps you remain very diligent with anything that you're doing. But more than intelligence, more than brilliance, sincerely, consistency is the game changer. If you are not consistent, then forget about it.
hmm. Thank you very much for that. And I believe our viewers are going to learn a lot. This is loaded. This is quite loaded.
Glad
So
to.
now, moving to my next question. Can you describe the role that discipline played in your journey?
Again, as I mentioned, perhaps discipline and diligence is the same thing. So
Hmm.
they're actually the one that, again, discipline and diligence are the one that actually brought the essence of the effort that I'm actually investing out. To be very sincere with you, because there would never be a case where you'd not miss, you know, where you'd not probably want to be complacent and you'd not want to be like the rest of people. You know, there would never be a day. To be very sincere, being failure is very difficult, and success is also very difficult. Success is easy and failure is also very easy. It goes both ways. So, but when you know that this is something that I've taken upon myself, this is something I want to always do, and perhaps discipline is not it does not exist alone. To be very sincere with you, right? There are drivers that makes you more disciplined, and those drivers are perhaps the most important thing beyond discipline itself, because and when it comes to the essence of life itself, success is the most important driver of a disciplined individual.
Hmm.
When you when you are successful,
Hmm.
I used to tell my student that it is only when you understand how much you have to invest to achieve success at a task, at something that you are doing, that you'd really, be disciplined to invest the amount of effort that is needed to do that. So when you achieve a 4.5 in the first semester,
mm,
you already have an understanding of an idea of how much it takes to actually get there.
yeah,
You would never ever want to go below that. So
mm,
it is your success in the task, the previous success that you've achieved in this task that actually keeps you on your toes to actually remain very disciplined to reproduce that result over time. So discipline does not just exist. It doesn't just, I mean, it's not something that is entirely inherent. It's not something that is entirely, it's not, it has a lot of extrinsic and intrinsic factor that actually contributes to how much discipline you have. The people that you move with is very, very, they are very important when it comes to how much discipline of an individual you're going to be, what
mm,
success is actually is to you. So for someone that probably just wants to have 1.5 and move on with life, you can never expect the same level of discipline from that person. With someone that actually has an idea that, I mean, you have to have 4.5, you have to have 7.5, you have to have whatever grade that you
mm.
probably would really need to actually make the most important or the most success out of your story. So I mean, the level of success that you associate yourself with is very, very important. And more importantly, I think that is practically it, to be very sincere.
Thank you very much for that. But Dr. Nasir,
Okay.
in this life of social media, there's a lot of distractions here and there.
Yeah.
How did you stay focused?
Very sincere, it's simple. I don't do social media. That's just it. I
Wow.
don't do it at all. I don't. I only do WhatsApp. WhatsApp alone. Just WhatsApp. How do you stay focused? I don't have an answer to that. And I'll probably would I advise anybody to go on those social medias? No, I would not. Till now I don't do. I started LinkedIn like 3 years ago, but throughout my universities I barely do any. I do not do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. I don't do any of them. Any at all. That's just
Thank you very, very much for that. So now I am
welcome.
moving to my next question. Is there a mistakes? Is there a mistake or are there mistakes that students are making today?
Well, I mean, since time immemorial, people make mistakes, and I mean, mistakes are not there to, they are not exist to paint you as a failure, but to actually teach you a lesson.
Hmm,
But would I be able to say that there is a mistake that students really? I've been out of touch with things, anything student and academics for like 2 years now. To be very sincere, but when I look back to my time as student, it's still recently we are going to talk about it. I think that mistakes do not change when it comes to academics. To be very
hmm,
sincere, I don't know, but when I really think about the questions, I don't think that the mistakes that, I mean, perhaps the advent of social media, the lots of distractions and the likes of that. But I think okay, yeah, I think I would say this because I think it is very important. I think one mistake that people make right now is they are blurring the lines between financial independence and academic excellence.
hmm,
To be very sincere, I don't think that I personally do not believe that if there is no, I mean, great need for it, if you have a support system that is good at home, which is the case for many students, for most students, I mean, you have a parent that gives you money, pays your school fees, and the likes of that. You're not to bother yourself about financial independence as a student.
hmm,
The hustle culture of actually making money and making it as a student it's what is degrading and eroding the need for academic excellence in today's institution. I see my juniors, like, you literally living good. Your parents, I mean, but you are hustling as if you have a particular need for the money, and it's just for you to actually join the trend, to
hmm.
join the definition of what success looks as a man. So like the blurring of line between when you actually need to be financial. I mean, we are not talking about you not being financially literate, but chasing it so much as if a lot of students, 95% of students, their purpose, in entering university is actually to learn how to make more money.
Hmm,
It's not even about the academic excellence itself, the skill itself. And people do not attach any importance to that again. And I sincerely get very sad when I see some of my juniors that these guys, when they were two of them right now, when they were in their 200 level, they made a very good, they were the scholars of their class. But then in the chase to actually be financial independence, to buy the sneakers in vogue, the designer shoes and the likes of that in vogue, to join their friends in using the latest phone and the like of that, they actually lose their self, and they became so much invested and so much engrossed into what might have been termed as excellence and success in today's definition, which is just financial success alone. So, like, blurring the line between when you actually have to learn how to be financially independent and you actually have to go full throttle. I mean, as I am right now, I don't have any other option than to hustle. Hustle is the most important thing I'm doing right now. Very sincere. But as a student, I mean, I don't have enough. I do not come from a very privileged family. It's very sincere. Some days I probably survive on Gary for a week, for weeks sometimes. To be
Wow.
very sincere with you. But that thing did not push. I knew that I cannot do this thing together. To be very sincere with you. If you want to achieve an exceptional success in your academics, then you have to give one thing up for the other. But a lot of people do not care about academic excellence alone. They are okay with the bare minimum, the 2.5, the 1.5 needed to cross. And but you see that financial independence, financial, buoyancy and everything. It's just so much. And I think that that is really, really a mistake and something that needs to be corrected if anything is going to, come out of this, this generation and going to be better. The overly reliant definition of success as financial independence is really destructive. It's really, really destructive.
Thank you very much for the answer. And I believe a lot of people are going to benefit from this answer because we see it every day too. We see it every day. People chasing money, students chasing money when they are living very fine. They are living very
Very
fine.
sincere
They're
with you.
still chasing money. Duh, duh. Okay, so moving to my next question. How did you feel when you discover you were the best graduating student in your class when you never planned it? And how have it changed you?
Well, I think that the question is, I mean, I never planned to lead my class
Yeah,
when I was entering university in my first year.
yeah.
But the moment I became the scholar of my class in 200 level, I knew that I wanted to be the best rising student in my class. And after retaining my position for 4 out of 5 years, I was not in any doubt that I would actually graduate at the top of my class.
Hmm.
So I was not surprised to learn that I was the best rising student in my class. I was not surprised that I had to graduate with distinction. I mean, it's something that's been building on over time, really. And I've really looked forward to uh, giving the valedictory lecture, which I was able to do. I sincerely do not feel more special because I've really, you know expected that for the longest of time throughout my years as a student. So it's not really something so special when it actually happened. But I mean, overall it was good. It was still very good. The memory of my valedictory lecture still remains, very vivid in my memory. And I think that's just the highlight of it. To be very sincere with you. I felt that that moment when I actually gave the valedictory lecture on behalf of my class was a combination of every single effort that I've invested. And
Wow.
I mean, that is the best reward. That's the best reward I actually got from actually, you know, the investments for the past 5, 6 years I used as a student.
So, is there something that people misunderstand about high performing students?
Yeah, I think it is to actually think that it's easy for them. That's what most people think. People that are not investing the effort, things that people that are passing are actually passing because they read once and they understand. I mean, it's the delusion of ease about people that are actually high performing that actually makes people resign to their fate. That's why a lot of people just think that, late scholar or me, I cannot. I mean, I can't get to this position because scholar is probably seen as someone that is, has some superhuman capabilities or superhuman capacities, and that is a blatant lie. I used to say that if anyone in my class decides to invest as much effort as I was investing in my academics, then I'll probably not remain at the top of my class till my graduation year. I would have a more stiffer competition. I would say it unequivocally that the effort that I actually invested when I was a student almost surpasses that of anyone in my class. That is just it. People see, again, I mentioned it earlier, that people see someone that reads and understand or probably remembers what he has read for a long time. They do not see the person that forgets it every now and then actually have to revise it. So it's the effort. It's the delusion that they don't make any effort. It's the delusion that they actually get it easy. The delusion of, overly being intelligent or probably having one super natural or superhuman capacities that makes, I mean, that is a very big fat lie. It is the effort that actually makes anyone exceptional. Not, I used to say that when you want to be extraordinary, you have to do the ordinary that everyone is doing. Read as they are reading, but you do the extra. Revise countless of times. I just mentioned that I probably revise a single topic 10, 15 times before any exam. And you read a day, 2 days to exam, you expect to actually have the same grade as I do. That's impossible.
Hmm.
That is not, it doesn't work that way. I mean, life doesn't actually work that way, to be very sincere with you. So it's the delusion of ease, and the lack of, what might seem to them as efforts from whoever is, high performing, that probably I think is the most, grandiose misconception about high performing students.
Thank you very, very much for that. Thank you, because
You're
I
welcome.
think I have that misconception too, but you are clearing my doubts now. So moving to the next question, what part of your story do you think student needs to hear most?
I sincerely think path. It is the path that there are a lot of them, right? But do you need to hear the most? A part of me wants to probably say it's my experience with phobia, but I do not think that that really contributes to my academic excellence the most. It just makes me a better human overall. When it comes to my academic excellence, I think that the most important part of my story is the fact that I was willing to try again. To be
Wow.
very sincere with you, I was willing to always try again. I did not study with a mindset of totality, and I did not study with a mindset of spontaneity. It's the fact. I used to say that if I'm going to be saying that I was blessed with any talent, it would be the art of revision. I learned and perfected the art of revision. I mean, my story is not of someone who reads once and retain for the longest of time. I revise every single time, every now and then. Like, I mean, I would really want students to actually, listen to hear the story of someone who survives on revising and revising and reading and reading and reading over and over and over again before a concept sticks, before a concept actually, makes a lot of sense. I do not believe as a student that information, people used to mistake information and understanding.
Hmm.
It's a different thing that you are informed about a topic. It's a different that you actually understand the topic. You are not expected to understand everything a topic has to give during your first reading, not even during your second reading of the topic. But people focus more on information. So it's that information, it's the push to actually gain to understand or to probably absorb the information that a course actually has to offer during the first try that pushes most people to go to the edge. Well, I realized that okay, I take it one step at a time. While I might not get all the concept of it during the first reading, the second reading I get more insight into it. The third reading, by the time I've read a topic for 5, 6 times, subhanallah, I mean, there would be more, it would be less abstract, more contextual, and I would understand it more. So I was always willing to go again and again and again and again and again. And I think that that is the most significant part of my story, to be very sincere, because even till now in life, I'm willing to try again. I
Wow.
don't give up.
Wow.
I don't give up. I don't just give up.
Mashallah.
I don't give up. To be very sincere with you, I don't give. I just rounded up something I've been working on for the past 2 months this morning, and I mean, it's
Just
one of
this
the things that
morning?
stretched me the most. Yeah, it's one of the things that actually stretched me the most. But I mean, I still banked on the fact that I mean, until I get to a point when I know that this thing cannot work again or this thing cannot go forward again, I'm going to continue to push and probe. That's just it. So I apply that in my academics, in my Quran, in every aspect of my life. I learn to push and push and push and push again until something actually happens.
Thank you very, very much for this. Now moving to, we are getting close to the end of the session. So now, please, is there a story that you are still building as we talk now? What are you building?
Well, I mean, post graduation, you definitely want to build a future, right?
Yeah.
So I think that for me, I'm building myself to really be. I have an interest in public health.
Okay.
I have an interest in uh, population health generally.
Okay.
I recently ventured into entrepreneurship also, but I'm really a public health guy. I want to get to the peak of anything public health. That's just it. And I've been really investing effort in doing that since my graduation. That was what pushed me to found the Nigerian Public Health Network. Right now, we are more than 7,000 followers on LinkedIn,
Wow.
and we've trained more than 60 Nigerians on by like 5 6 months of training.
Wow.
We've executed community awareness project and initiative, and we currently run a research fellowship with more than 50 high-end research fellows. So like, I mean, this is my most significant story right now. I'm trying to access international opportunities, apply for scholarship and the likes of that. And they are work in progress. It's not worked out right now, but we are trying to continue to build and build and build. And I think if I have a message for anyone, it will be that build local relevance and you are going to become
mm,
an exportable global commodity.
mm,
So don't focus on just waking up one day and getting scholarship at Oxford or getting an opportunity in the United States.
mm.
So build local relevance first. Do the things that you can do in your immediate community, and you are definitely going to become an exportable global commodity.
Thank you
And
very,
I would attribute that to Mr. Sean Fakorede. Yeah,
thank
thank
you
you.
very, very much for this. You have been very,
You're
very
welcome.
helpful. We have had a very, very interesting session. Now, I want to
I'm glad.
go into your field of study, your training. Please, based on your
Okay.
training, what advice will you give us to keep fit at old age?
I have to be very sincere with you, right? When it is not in the context of patients, even me, I'm falling behind when it comes to healthy living and fitness, physical
Mm,
fitness, because it is sincerely difficult to build a physically fit life and actually also pursue and pursue greatness. It's almost having to give up something for the other, but I believe it is doable.
okay.
I believe it is doable. Again, you go back to the principle of making it convenient, starting early. To be very sincere, it is going to benefit anybody to actually be physically fit when they can, because in old age, I've seen physically fit, elderly people, and I've seen otherwise, and I know that I would probably want to be physically fit when I'm old. But you don't. It's not until you register in a gym that you've actually been physically fit. You can also do some things by yourself with physical fitness is not muscle building. You understand that it's not muscle building. It's more about your cardiorespiratory capacity. It's about your cardio. It's about your aerobic fitness. So, as little as taking, a walk every now and then, endurance trekking, you don't need to jog, you don't need to run, you don't need to just take a walk every now and then. Try not to be sedentary, try not to be sedentary. Learn to actually move. Movement is life. Movement is life. Movement can prevent any disease. Movement can slow down the progression of any disease. Movement can actually cure any disease as
Wow.
far as it is done rightly. So learn to always move. Don't sit for a long time. Don't stand for a long time. Don't sleep for a long time. Do everything in proportion and try to move as much as possible. Just move. It's not until you get to a gym. Just move. Move and everything is going to be fine.
Thank you very, very much. We have had a very wonderful
You're
session with
welcome.
you. And I believe our viewers, aside
Alhamdulillah.
from learning how to better their life through the experiences you have had, they will also learn how to keep their body very fit by not keeping stuck in one position, by moving their body around and not sitting for too long or sleeping for too long. Thank you very, very much. And I sincerely pray
You're
that
welcome.
the story you are currently building, I sincerely pray to God to grant you goodness and make it very easy for you.
Thank you
I
so much.
hope we are going to
Yeah,
call
thank you
you
so
back
much.
here sometimes so that you're going to
Hopefully,
coming to tell
hopefully
us
we
about
will.
the story that you have built again. Thank you
I would
very,
really be glad to do that.
thank you
You
very.
are very much welcome. It's my pleasure.
So
Thank
my
you so much for
regards to
having me.
everybody.
And thank you for the
Thank you.
session. Yeah,
Have a
thank you so
blessed
much.
day. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.